Let's be real, we live in a world that's just constantly buzzing with notifications and endless things to scroll through. And in the middle of all that chaos, our ability to truly, deeply concentrate, well, it feels like a superpower, doesn't it? We all want more of it, but it just seems to be slipping away. So for the next few minutes, let's try to silence that noise and really dive into the science of what's happening inside our heads when we focus.
So you've probably heard this one, right? Maybe you've even said it yourself. It's this shocking idea that's just spread like wildfire online, suggesting that our digital habits have completely wrecked our brains. But is there actually any truth to it? Are we all becoming goldfish?
The infamous 8-second attention span. The story goes that ours has plummeted to just 8 seconds, which is supposedly 1 second less than a goldfish. I mean, it's a terrifying thought that's been repeated everywhere. But here's the thing. It's completely, utterly wrong.
Okay, so where in the world did this number even come from? Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't from a serious, peer-reviewed scientific study. As Forbes actually reported, it was traced back to a website called Statistics Brain that used some, let's say, questionable sources. Then it got picked up by a big report and just went viral. It's a classic case of a fake statistic taking on a life of its own.
The truth is, our ability to focus is actually enormous when we're genuinely engaged. I mean, think about it. Have you ever binge-watched an entire season of a show in one sitting? A Deloitte report found that something like 73% of us have done it. That is not a goldfish brain. That's a brain that is totally capable of deep, sustained immersion. See, the problem isn't our capacity to focus, it's the ridiculously distracting world we're living in.
So, if our brains are actually built for focus, how does it all work? Well, to really get it, we need to meet the executive team running the show inside our heads, the key brain regions and chemicals that manage the whole operation.
All right, first up, think of your prefrontal cortex as your brain's CEO. It sits right up front, and its job is to set goals and decide where to point your mental energy. But, a good CEO doesn't work alone. It relies on the basal ganglia, which acts like a super sophisticated gatekeeper. It's constantly deciding which information gets the green light and, maybe more importantly, which distractions get filtered out, so the CEO can actually get some work done.
Of course, this whole team needs some fuel to run on, and that's where the neurochemicals come in. First, we've got dopamine. Now, people often call it the pleasure chemical, but it's really more of a motivation messenger. It's that drive that makes you lean into a task. It creates that rewarding feeling that tells you, yes, keep going, this is worth it.
Next up is norepinephrine. So if dopamine is providing the motivation, norepinephrine is the alertness amplifier. It's what kicks your brain into a higher gear, making you feel sharp, responsive, and ready for action. It's basically what stops your mind from just drifting off when you're trying to zero in on something important.
And finally, we have acetylcholine, which I like to call the detail sharpener. This little chemical is absolutely crucial for learning and memory. When you're locked in and focused, acetylcholine helps your brain highlight the important stuff, sharpening the details so you can lock them into your memory and they actually stick.
Okay, so if our brains have this incredible built-in system for focus, why does it feel like such a struggle every single day? Well, the answer lies in this constant battle between two totally different kinds of work that our modern lives demand from us.
On one side, you've got deep work. Author Cal Newport talks about this. It's the stuff that really pushes your brain and creates long-term value. But on the other side, there's shallow work. Checking emails, replying to messages, all those little logistical things you can do while you're distracted. The big problem? Our entire digital world is a machine that is perfectly designed to keep us stuck in that shallow end.
We've somehow convinced ourselves that juggling a dozen different things at once is the height of productivity, right? We're answering emails during a video call while notifications are popping up, and it feels efficient. But a ton of research shows it's just a dangerous cognitive illusion. Our brains simply aren't built to do multiple attention-heavy things at once.
Here's the key thing to understand. What we call multitasking is really just rapid task switching, and every single time you switch, you pay a heavy price. Research actually shows that this constant switching can destroy up to 40% of your productive time. Just think about that. That's like losing nearly half your workday just from the friction of changing gears over and over.
But the long-term damage is what's really scary. It's not just about the time you lose. This chronic multitasking can actually rewire our brains for the worse. Like impaired working memory. That means your brain's mental scratch pad, the space where you hold ideas to work with them, it gets smaller and fuzzier. It makes solving complex problems so much harder and leads to that feeling of being mentally exhausted all the time.
Okay, so that was the bad news, but here's the good news. We are not helpless here. Focus is a skill. It's a muscle. And just like any other muscle, you can train it. So let's walk through 4 science-backed strategies you can use to start reclaiming your attention like today.
First, time blocking. Literally schedule blocks of uninterrupted time for your most important work. This protects that CEO in your brain from constantly having to decide what to do next. Second, and this is a big one, embrace boredom. Stop filling every single idle moment with your phone. Letting your mind just wander actually allows your brain's focus network to rest and recharge. Third, create a shutdown ritual. Having a clear end-of-workday routine signals to your brain that it's okay to disengage and recover. And fourth, try a digital detox. Even short, scheduled breaks from screens can help reset your brain and make it less needy for those cheap dopamine hits from notifications.
Another incredibly powerful tool is mindfulness. Research has shown that even a little bit of mindfulness training can seriously improve your cognitive control. Think of practices like meditation as push-ups for your brain. You're directly strengthening that prefrontal cortex, the CEO we talked about, making it way better at directing your attention where you want it to go.
All right, so we've busted the myths, we've looked at the science, and we've got some strategies. But there's one more tool, and it might just be the most powerful of all, that has been hacking human attention for thousands of years.
Hey, remember that binge-watching example from the beginning? That feeling of being so totally lost in a show that you forget where you are? That's called immersion. And it turns out, a really good story is one of the most reliable ways to trigger this state of deep, effortless focus, because it kind of bypasses our distracted brain and speaks directly to our emotions.
And here is the beautiful neuroscience behind it. When we get into a relatable story, our brains release oxytocin. This is the empathy chemical. It's what makes us feel connected to characters and actually invested in what happens to them. This chemical reaction makes us care. And when we truly care about something, we don't just pay attention for 8 seconds. We pay attention for hours.
So, let's bring this all home. Your ability to focus isn't gone, and it's definitely not shorter than a goldfish is. It's a powerful cognitive system that's just under attack right now. But the most important thing to take away from all this is that it's a skill you can rebuild, a muscle you can strengthen, and honestly, a superpower you can unlock if you're just intentional about it.
The science is clear, and the tools are right there in your hands. So really, the only question left is, where are you going to start? Are you going to time block your afternoon? Are you going to put your phone away at lunch and just be bored for a few minutes? What is the one thing you will do today to start training your attention?